thing. Now, I'm gonna ask you something. I don't know if you noticed or not, because I'm hoping to kind of put things back in perspective. I'm trying to bring you back to the book, my brother. I'm gonna be honest with you. I'm trying to get you back. So I'm gonna try
I
to
mean,
share some.
well, I mean, I've never left the book. I don't.
Yeah,
I'm
you
not
got different
strictly only the
understanding though.
Bible,
Yeah, but
right?
because you know what I'm saying, because you dealing with a lot of different things, and I've looked into a lot of those things. I haven't studied them like deeply, but I've looked into a lot of those things, and I'm as sure as grits as groceries that those are there's a lot of false information. It's a lot of things that are related to other nations. These are the gods they worship. This was never our God, but we'll get to that, you know. But that's just my perspective on that. However, I wanted to share with you about Adam and Eve, right?
Uh-huh.
Some things I don't know if you knew this or not, but did you know? Because you said that the Eve didn't come from Adam's rib, right? Now, why are
No,
you?
they were
What
born.
what makes you so sure about that?
They were both born from women. See,
Well,
that's that information. That's why I keep saying you can't only study the Bible.
I
The
got you.
Bible
Yeah,
is
I don't
you
disagree with
gotta
that.
yeah.
But what I'm asking you is what makes you so sure? Like, what information do you have that would convince you that Eve was not born, was not made of Adam's rib?
Well, that's not what that means. That all that simply means is that they're the same being. Genesis 5:2, the male and the female were both called Adam.
Who is Eve? That ain't making sense because Eve is the mother of all living,
Well,
right?
Eve,
According to the Bible.
Her real name is really TT. That's not the books don't have the correct names. You got to go back to the originals. You know, anything that's written that's on paper can be modified, it can be changed, which we
True,
know that's been happening.
true.
Now, if you go back to the stones, you can't change that. The pyramids was already here. You know what I'm saying? They everybody thinks God or the beings that's sitting on the throne is God. That's the angels. The angels, they just identify themselves as God the same way we do because we know that's what's inside of us. Just as if when a person goes inside their house, do they call themselves house? They don't. So if God is inside your vessel, that's still God.
Okay, so all
You
right,
know,
so
like how it says the temple of the Holy Spirit is the body, right?
mhm.
So if your body is God's temple, then what does that say you are?
what, what does that say? You are like we are. What
Right.
if our body is God's temple? What are we are? What are we?
Yeah. What if your body is an avatar for the God energy, for God to inhabit, what does that mean you are?
Okay,
See, that's the
so
same, that's the same thing that the angels do. The angels, they all identify themselves as God. No, and but they don't worship one another because
but
that
the
they know what they are.
yeah, what the issue I'm coming into is that a lot of things you're saying, that's not what the Bible teaches, right? So, going and
It's well, it teaches it, but it's certain wisdom. The Bible is a book. The Bible is an allegorical, metaphysical, spiritual, psychological, astrological, encoded text about the anatomy and human experience about yourself.
the Bible's also true, and this is what I'm going
Yeah,
back to.
which I've never been against the Bible. I've never said
Nah,
the Bible was a lie.
but
It's just you gotta be careful who you let teach the Bible to you.
100%, right? But you're saying that you're not against the Bible. However, what you're saying is contradicting what the Bible teaches. So, because the Bible clearly says, hold on, listen, the Bible clearly says that Adam was made from the real. I mean, Adam was made from the dust of the ground, and God blew breath into him. Eve was made from his rib. And this is why I want to ask you: did you know this though? Did you know that our bottom rib is the only only thing on a man or a woman that will grow back is our bottom rib?
Right.
So what's the chances of that happening? What's the chances that the Bible says that God opened Adam's up and took his rib out and made Eve, and then we have the only bone that will grow back is our bottom rib, right? And so, I mean, these are just interesting things. So when you're saying these things, that you're saying that what the Bible is saying is not what it
No,
is, it means
I'm
something
saying
different.
no, Genesis does not teach creation. You have
100%
to
it
go
does.
back further. No, that's not creation. That's genetics.
Well,
Genesis
okay,
is
in the
genosis.
this is creation. Watch this. Watch this. I'm trying to understand how you're not getting creation from this. In the beginning, God created the heaven and the earth. So that's time. Beginning
right?
is time.
To
Heaven, space.
to an
Earth is matter. So
well,
God created
I
time,
mean
space, and matter. And you had to have
well,
all three of these things simultaneously, because if you have space and no time, when are you going to put it? Right? You have earth, matter,
right.
where are you going to put it? So you have to have all three of these things at the same time. So this is perfect harmony right here. So this is creation. In the beginning, God created heaven and earth, time, space, and matter.
This is not full detail. That's why I'm saying
Okay.
if you want to get the full details of how Adam and Eve came about, you have to go back. That's in the tablets. That's not given in the Bible. So that's why I tell everybody.
Go ahead. I ain't even because
you have to study. You have to study more. The more stuff outside the Bible that you study, you're going to start finding it within the Bible.
So
that's why I say
this is where we disagree, right? And so when you talk about the tablets, you're referring to the Emerald tablet.
The Emerald tablets, the Anunnaki tablets, it all goes together.
Well, the Emerald tablets, is no good. That's not legit. It's not legit. The Emerald tablet was discovered into the 1930s by a person who never produced the originals. All we got is his word for it. So that's not the Emerald tablets is 100% not legit. Say again?
Yeah, the Emerald tablets is teaching you the same thing that's in Genesis.
But what I'm saying is the Emerald tablets is not legitimate.
It's not legitimate.
What the person who produced the Emerald tablets, who claimed to have found the Emerald tablets, he never was able to produce the actual Emerald tablets. It basically, he just gave his word. So there's nobody can ever go back and study the Emerald tablets to see if they really existed, if it's how old it is. That has never been done. So that's why I'm saying the Emerald tablets is not what the person who introduced them to
artifact, the Emerald Tablet, which contains not only the recipe for immortality, but the secret to everything in the universe. This knowledge has been around for centuries, but has been suppressed until now. Medieval alchemists received this knowledge from the Arabs 1,000 years ago. The Arabs got it from the Egyptians 2,000 years before that. But the Egyptians received this knowledge 36,000 years ago from the most advanced culture on Earth. The Emerald Tablet comes from Atlantis. Apollonius wrote that he gave the tablet to the Roman Emperor Hadrian, who buried it under his palace. But some think the tablet was in the Library of Alexandria when it burned, or was taken by the Knights Templar, or it's in the Vatican's secret archives. It's been said to have ended up at just about every mysterious place on Earth. But in 1925, a man named Dr. Maurice Doreal had an idea. The early stories of the Egyptian god Thoth talk of him building the Great Pyramid of Giza as a way to protect an ancient artifact. So Dr. Doreal went to Egypt and explored the area where he thought the Emerald Tablet might be.
Oh, did he find it?
Not exactly.
Oh.
He found all 10. The tablets Doreal found were in the possession of a mysterious group called the Great White Brotherhood. They wouldn't allow Doreal to take the tablets, but they did let him translate them. A few years later, in 1939, Dr. Doreal published his translation as a book, The Emerald Tablets of Thoth the Atlantean. His translation confirmed that the tablets were indeed written by Thoth. Doreal went on to found the Brotherhood of the White Temple, a religion that still exists and has a following. And one of the main themes of the book and of the Brotherhood of the White Temple is the concept of the one thing. The one thing is described as the source of all creation and the ultimate reality behind the physical world. It's said to be an energy that permeates all things and is the essence of all life. Well, the book also describes ancient technologies and hidden knowledge. It suggests that ancient civilizations had advanced technologies and knowledge that have been lost over time. For example, the book describes a device called the Firestone, which is said to have the power to generate energy and manipulate matter. The book claims this technology was used by ancient civilizations, including the Atlanteans, but it's being suppressed. But a large part of the book covers alchemy, specifically transforming base metals into gold, curing illness, granting immortality, and achieving enlightenment. But like the original Emerald Tablet, it was all allegory and symbolism, subject to many different interpretations. There are no clear instructions. The tablet doesn't tell us what kind of materials we need to create the Philosopher's Stone, and even if they did, they don't tell us the process. But let's look at the parts of the story that are questionable. First, the Emerald Tablet is indeed a text that's at least 1,200 years old. It is considered one of the most important documents in alchemy. Isaac Newton and many others were fascinated with it and spent large parts of their life trying to decode it. But the Emerald Tablets, plural, that's a different story. All the stuff about Atlantis comes from the book The Emerald Tablets of Thoth the Atlantean by Dr. Maurice Doreal. And a lot of that information is part of Doreal's religion, the Brotherhood of the White Temple. The Brotherhood really does exist. It even has a lodge in Colorado. And Doreal has a lot of followers. You could find tons of articles and YouTube videos from people who believe that Doreal was chosen to deliver his message to the world.
It is a butt coming.
There is. Now look, maybe Doreal really did discover the tablets in Egypt and translate them. Maybe he really is helping people on their journey to the light of truth, as the Brotherhood claimed. But before you join this cult religion, there are a few things you should know about Dr. Maurice Doreal. Dr. Doreal's real name was Claude Doggins, and he wasn't a doctor of anything. He never graduated high school, which is amazing because he claimed that he was able to read and write as soon as he was born, and was doing advanced mathematics before the age of 1.
Yet no interest in getting a GED, huh?
Yeah, I guess not. So no record of him receiving a doctorate. But there is record of him driving a cab.
He drove a cab in Egypt?
Oh, he never went to Egypt.
Yeah, but...
His passport verifies this. When he was confronted about the passport problem, Doreal, aka Doggins, said, well, they weren't physical travels, they were astral travels. Doggins wrote a lot about astral travels and other paranormal phenomena. He wrote about UFOs, alien attacks, the nuclear war that he predicted would happen in 1956. And he wrote about human-serpent hybrids living in the Gobi Desert. Now, his followers will say all the things that Doreal wrote were true. The problem is, his stories were lifted from prominent science fiction writers. For example, Doriel's Emerald Tablets book has passages that match almost word for word passages from the Necronomicon by H.P. Lovecraft. Doriel also lifted ideas from the Shaver Mysteries, which were popular in the sci-fi pulp magazine Amazing Stories. He even wrote into the magazine. And Doriel made all kinds of other wild claims, as most cult leaders do, but there are too many to list here.
So he was a fraud?
Well, I'm not saying that, but his wife did.
What?
At a public event, his wife called him out for lying and cheating in front of a whole group of disciples.
Hell hath no fury, eh?
Yeah, the quote-unquote cult leader divorce made newspaper headlines at the time. Now, even with all this information, Doriel still has plenty of believers, and the Brotherhood still sells all of his books on their website. So, the story of the original Emerald Tablet, that story is true. The actual tablet has never been found, but the text has been around for at least 1,200 years. That's confirmed. The Emerald Tablets by Doriel, well, you can make your own decision, but to me it sounds like yet another cult leader passing off science fiction as his own writing to take advantage of people for profit.
Yeah, nice work.
Well, my naturally operating frequency is 963 hertz. And
Okay.
I actually discovered that before I even learned about the tablets. And that's what the tablets is teaching. It's teaching you how to unlock the keys to the universe. As a matter of fact, I have another book. It's called The Keys of Enoch.
Her attack in the early 70s had a unique experience where he was taken into other realities. This was not an ET abduction, and it also was not a drug experience. So he was able to see some very unique things when he was taken into these other realities.
I was a young professor, and I had to explain teaching Oriental philosophy, the meaning of avatars, the meaning of angels, et cetera, et cetera. I had the opportunity to work with Tibetan as well as Vietnamese Buddhist scholars. But in my own practice and my research, I began to concentrate on the names of God and spiritual expressions of the divine experience. And putting these expressions together with musical harmonics, I experienced what I call a morphogenic pathway that opened up. And my body was literally bilocated or taken into a higher dimension of light. To answer your question, we were able also to project the finding of the pyramids on Mars. And here's the NASA photograph I was allowed to put in my book, Keys of Enoch in 1973. These pyramids, in some unique way, are connected with civilization. When it reaches a point of maturity, it builds pyramids as energy devices, sounding devices, communication devices.
Just to qualify again, these are on Mars.
So there's a connection between the pyramids on Mars and what the Egyptians call the area of Cairo, Egypt, and that area of Giza. El-Khira is the Egyptian word, Arabic word, meaning a spacious one or Mars. So we know at one time Egypt was connected with intelligent life that was coming from other planetary systems. And this is the secret now of why so many young scientists are beginning to understand, wait a minute, there's something below the pyramids that connects us with the stars.
And it teaches you all to see the Bible. It doesn't teach you the quantum physics. It's giving it to you in the form of a story. So when you go outside the Bible and you study the other quantum physics teachings, then you will start seeing what the Bible is actually saying. The 369 is keys to the universe. That's all about ascension, evolving, raising your conscience. And this is what the serpent in the garden was trying to tell Adam and Eve. If you bite the fruit, you're going to evolve. You're going to become aware. You're going to know things. And this is what, like how they say they didn't know that they were naked, but after they ate the fruit, they were aware. They're evolving. They're not in a slave state anymore.
Okay.
And that's what, like, you remember one of them Enlil told them, if you bite the fruit, you shall surely die. And Enki told them, if you do, your eyes are gonna be open. You will be as God.
I'm glad you brought me back to that because I want to come back to it. But what you're saying, you made me think of a scripture, right? It says, Ecclesiastes 12:12, it says, and further, by these, my son, be admonished of the making. Now, this is written over 2,000-3,000 years ago. He says, and further, by these, my son, be admonished of making many books. There is no end. And much study is the weariness of the flesh. Let us hear, verse 13, let us hear the conclusion of the whole matter. Fear God and keep his commandments, for this is the whole duty of man.